we're going to be talking about just growing and automating tour business. We're going to talk about a lot of things that are not TripWorks today, and booking platform stuff, and then we'll talk about booking platform stuff too, either way. But it doesn't matter whether you are on your own platform, you're on a third-party platform, whatever you're on, you're going to get a lot out of today. So let's start with kind of the agenda. I'm going to go through some real stats. I know most companies don't share their stats. I'm happy to share stats because I think it's valuable for people who are learning and people who are growing their businesses. Hey, Roger, see you on here from Greenville. We're going to talk about common challenges we all deal with. Then we're going to go straight into automation. So how do we automate stuff that saves us time around rebooking? How are we dealing with abandoned cart stuff? Because we added over 100,000 in revenue by doing a really interesting abandoned cart strategy. It's pretty fascinating. We're also going to talk about how we increased prices by 30% last year and 25% again this year. We're going to talk about doubling guide tips because that helps all of us, and answer some question and answers. So first of all, these are our real stats. So our sales growth in 2019 did about 500,000. 2020 did about 750,000. Last year did 1.1 million, and this year we expect to do 1.5 million. Some of that is based on growth as we add additional pilots, right? But it's also as we make sure that we're totally full and making sure that we increase pricing. As far as marketing, we do 100% ourselves. So we don't outsource anything. We do 100% of our own SEO, our own content. We do our own ads. Channels, we don't sell through OTAs. So we sell 100% through just direct our own site. We don't work with Groupon. We don't sell like third party through Viator or that kind of stuff because they take too much commission. If you're at the beginning of your business, those are great ways in order to get enough so you're full enough in the meantime. And then as soon as you can get out of that, the better. We have about 700 to 1,000 users per day to the site. It's about 77% over the last 12 months due to our work there. As far as reviews, we have 4.9 rating. We added 100 5-star reviews in the last 12 months. And then as far as pricing, we have a 30%, between a 25 and 30% premium over low competitors. I'm glad Bob's on here. He knows that too. Like we just are always, hey, we want to be the most expensive. We'll talk about why we do that, but also why you should be charging more anyway. As far as our staff, we have a head of operations, takes 4 to 5 customer calls a day. And that there's a reason we only take 4 to 5, but are fully booked because we do most through e-com and then through this different strategy we do. We have 4 full-time tour guides or pilots, 14 crew members, and we used Peak for 2 years, Fair Harbor for 2 years, and now we use TripWorks. So my whole view on booking, e-commerce, everything around the balloon business, it should be easy. So it should be easy for them to book, number one. Number two, it should be easy for them to fly with us, right? Having an easy, great experience. That means all the email reminders, how they know what's happening with the flight, all the reminders around what to wear. That's easy, right? Then we make it really easy for them to tip, and then we make it easy for them to review. So my whole goal is, how can we make this easy? Well, I believe we all have the same goals. So if you guys want to put in, I don't think it's working in the questions. I don't know if there's the chat there. People can put in the chat. It looks like people can't find the chat box. So I guess we'll just, if you guys just want to put in one of the questions, if you can't find the chat box, just put in the questions, like, what is the main goal that you have this year? Is it like increasing pricing? Is it being 100% full? Is it like automating something? Just what are some of the goals you guys have? Just wait a minute for some of these coming. So Cameron Wall, increasing sales, right? Roger Clark, making booking easier. Just getting started, Paul, great. A lot of my goals have been around automation, and that's a lot we're going to talk through today, but they also go back into making booking easier and increasing sales. So here's what I see as the main goals. Saving time, right? So that means being less on the phone, but being able to get more conversions. Number two, increasing conversion rates. whether that's people on the phone, people coming to the site, any way that you can increase a conversion rate, which meaning someone coming to the site as a user and then booking. Being full 100% of the time, increasing rates, and then creating an extraordinary experience. I think all of us have a goal of, hey, can we create an extraordinary experience on our flights or on our tours? It's also creating an extraordinary experience throughout the entire process, right? From beginning to end, which starts as they come to your website or when they first find you. So let's talk about automation. Automation has basically been everything in the world for the last 10 years. My favorite is banking, right? So back in the day, there were these things called checks. Cameron, I don't know if you've ever used a check or got a check from someone. You know, you think about people who are younger in the business, right? But in general, we all remember getting checks. And that process was you get a check, you go to the bank, right? Which you have to drive there. Then you talk to a teller. And then the teller says, well, what's your information? You have to find it. And then you give your driver's license and goes, well, do you have another form of ID? Right? And then after that, they say, great, fill out this deposit slip, which I think anyone under the age of 21 has never seen, right? Then after that, then it goes to your bank account, but you actually don't get that money right away because you have to wait a bunch of days because it says check the other bank to see if that person has money, and you get access to a little bit of that money until it's all the way through, and then it goes back to your bank account. What's funny is these days, it's really easy, right? All of us use Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, through your bank, whatever it is, where it literally just goes, I have money, great, I'm gonna send you money, and it goes into your account, and it's instant, right? This is the difference between kind of the old school model of running tour companies versus the new school model. So when we talk about automation, what we automate, we're gonna cover a few things. First, we're going to cover the things that TripWorks or your booking company doesn't do, right? But we also do an automation because it's really important. The first thing that we do is I realized when I first started my balloon company in 2016 was that people called and asked the same questions. And on your site, you want to answer as many questions as possible, right? The problem is that the more is that people still have questions no matter what. So I said, great, why don't I use live chat on my site? And I had a company called Chatra, which basically was live chat. What I found was people asked the same question over and over again, right? And those are the annoying questions, right? That we all get on the phone calls. And I turn those into a chatbot that answers all the questions. You'll see as it goes through here, it's collecting as an anniversary, a birthday, bucket list, and then they can actually put in real questions it needs to answer, right? In this case, like, how high do you go? Or how many people fit in a balloon? Or can my mom come? My mom's 80 years old. Can she come? Are you handicap accessible? These are time sucks on the phone, right? So you can see here it asks general questions, right? How many people fit on a balloon? Can my infant come? And then my favorite general question that people ask us all the time, which is, can I have sex on the balloon? Okay, maybe it doesn't happen all the time, but you're all probably laughing right now because people totally ask that question. You can see our answer says we'd suggest a private flight, maybe odd for other guests. Just kidding, we know the answer is no. Good question though. Now it's going to ask an intent-based question of, do you have availability for 2 on Thursday? The chatbot understands that and can help someone now book a flight and going directly into our booking process. What this really is doing here is it's helping our website, right, to be able to answer real questions so I don't have to do it or my staff doesn't have to. We cut over 80% of phone calls by adding this chatbot. So whether I'm also happen to be a chatbot expert. No, we don't build them for balloon companies anymore. But what I will say, because we work with large companies, but I would suggest at least put live chat on your site to answer real questions. You will book a lot of people that way because people do have individual questions, and you can do it straight from your phone. Drift has a free platform if you're just doing live chat. If you look at building bots, there's a bunch of different ones. But what I can say is there's about 80 common questions people ask. If you want that list, happy to send that list out to folks, or we can do another kind of more in the ballooning one around the types of stuff there. Okay, next, another thing you can automate. We automate scheduling. I'm not sure how many of you guys do this, but if you have a lot of crew, you have a lot of pilots, When you cancel a flight, well, you're both canceling passengers, but holy cow, you also have to cancel all your staff. So most of us just do random text messages. We use a communication school. We use Homebase. There's a bunch of other ones you can use. This is they're pretty cheap. It's an awesome way to be able to track hours, throw that in. But again, it's a really easy way of communication. So automated communication with your staff is huge. We use this all the way through now. And we use this for also automated scheduling with all of our staff. So again, everything comes down to automation. So when you look at the other things you can automate, these are the other things. So first of all, you got online bookings we're going to talk about today, abandoned cart emails we'll talk about today, crew scheduling, that was the previous slide, reminder emails and texts. If you are still having people call you before the flight to see if you're on or not, it's just so much easier to send automated text message and emails all at once, and then also be able to send out to staff, right? Way easier. Texting and emailing to solicit reviews posts, super, super helpful and easy. Answering common questions, we're talking about chatbots, automating discount codes and referrals, right? If you have third-party sites, affiliates, you want to make sure that you're tracking all those, and those are all automated. You can do that with most different platforms for online booking. Rescheduling, we're going to talk about this today because it's really cool. We figured out how to get rid of 3 hours of rescheduling when we cancel flights. It's really cool. I'll show you that in a few minutes. Social posting, you can automate that as well, right? You can have it where it's each day it has automatically set up, right? You can automate that so you're not having to do it each time. With your websites, when we do our blog posts, those are automated templates that are built, and we use different AI tools to even help us building some of that stuff with content and SEO services. And then lastly, sharing on all sites, right? You post on Instagram, it also posts on Facebook, posts on TikTok, also posts on here, posts on your Google local place, also posts somewhere else. You can automate a lot of that stuff with the new AI stuff that's available. Okay, so here are your different options that I looked at as a tour operator. You can build your own. There's a lot of companies that have built their own systems over the years because they wanted specific things within the balloon industry. I also looked at that. I've been using third-party platforms since the beginning because I realized those companies spent millions and millions of dollars a year in order to build their platforms to automate all this stuff we want automated. The problem was most of them work with a ton of different types of clients, and when they build stuff, it's not the stuff we always want as tour operators. So even when I looked at, when I switched from Thorover to TripWorks last year, I was like, hey, you need to do these things for me to switch. Otherwise, I'm not moving because it's not worth it. And then over the last year, I kept asking for new things. I'm going to show you the things that the other platforms don't have. And again, if you have your own platform, you should build this stuff in, right? If you don't move to a third party, do it. If one of the other platforms builds it, great. But these are the things that I saw was the most important, which is fascinating. So first license, cancellations. Cancellations suck. Our time and our money, a lot of it. So with cancellations, we send a wonderful email with David Hasselhoff. I'm going to show you the video we send, but it's our rescheduling email. So it says, hi, first name, so pulls in personalization. Unfortunately, the weather conditions are not great for flying balloons for your upcoming balloon flight on experience date. We know it's frustrating getting canceled, but for your safety, it's our #1 priority. It's really important. You should write this down. In cancellation emails or when you're doing cancellations, it's all about empathy. People have literally spent months and they're really excited to go on your tour. You can't just say, sorry, you're canceled. You really need, and we're putting more and more empathy into this email now. Then the second thing it says, you can reschedule your flight by clicking on this button below. We're going to show you that. It literally allows them to auto reschedule without talking to us. The value of that is mind-blowing. The way we did it in the past was we would send out a text to everyone automated. We'd say, hey, go through our chatbot, go look on our site, see when's available, text us or call us. That's hours of annoyment. And then we also thought, hey, let's make this fun. So it takes 1 click to rebook, and we'll show you that. Sends out emails and texts automatically when you cancel, and then allows real-time rescheduling without talking to a staff member. All right, here's my Hasselhoff video that I paid him to do this.
My name is David Hasselhoff. Now, I am a water expert, a car aficionado and not a weather expert, but I can tell you that you don't go in the water if the red flag is waving, and you don't go in a hot air balloon if the red flag is waving, okay? You can go to Huffinity and beyond. You can be Hufftastic. You can be Huffsome to each other. And you can even have.
All right, so you guys get the idea. It's funny, right? So you can be funny, have empathy, all those things work really, really well. Okay, so then the next question is, all right, so if you're interested in that, how it automatically books, just think about like, and you know, Tim can show you, or you can book a time with them if you want to see it. But basically, from TripWorks. But basically, what it does is the difference is Fair Harbor and Peak. The way they do it is to give a gift certificate code, and someone has to completely rebook. Really annoying, right? Because as a prospect or as a user, that's incredibly annoying to go, they already have all my info. Now I have to refill my waiver, all the same emails and texts, versus just literally going, yep, I want to rebook my flight, pick a new date, and you're done. Really cool. Okay. And if someone wants a refund, they'll call you, right? Okay. So they should have booked, but they didn't. So this is really interesting. Different platforms do it in different ways. Fair Harbor, which is interesting, who I used to be with, which some of you with, you'll notice they collect no information up front. It's only on the actual checkout page, right? They decided that early on. I've talked to them and I was like, did you guys actually test this to see if it worked better? And they said, it was just a decision we made early on. I was like, cool. I talked to Peak about it and they said, well, we collect this info, but we won't give it to you. And I was like, really? These are my people that are filling out drafts. You're not going to give it to me? Well, here's what I convinced TripWorks of is I said, hey, can I get these drafts so I can reach out to them? So basically, once they fill it out, right here is where they leave, right? So they go, okay, for whatever reason, they're not ready. There's a variety of reasons people aren't ready. Most of it, I'd say 80%, they have a question still, right? They're just like, oh, maybe I'm scared of heights. My husband is, my wife is. Maybe I don't know if the date's gonna work. Like whatever their deal is, they just don't book at that time. Or they go, oh, it's too much money. Or maybe they even go like, whatever reason, they decide not to at that time. Well, I'm showing you, this is from October 24th or April 24th and 25th. So this is like last weekend. I'm sharing real stats here because I believe this is important. Please don't, you know, look up these people and then like randomly Facebook them or something. Like these are real customers. I'm just showing you because I thought it'd be valuable, okay? So first of all, you can see the ones on the left where it says reserved in e-commerce, okay? If it says e-commerce, that means we never talked to them. They just booked online, okay? You can see we have a pretty damn good conversion rate. Half that's because of our website. We have good reviews. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if they start that e-com process, they typically jam. The ones that are drafts, here you can see Tony Sandlin there. I don't know if he's on here today. There's another balloon pilot who's checking it out. In the draft, that means they started to, and then they left. Now, see the ones where the arrows are, I have those listed as walk up, but basically what I did was I actually called those people. And when I called them, typically it's almost, I get a text or my staff does and says, hey, this person is a lost cart, right? Basically means it's been 4 minutes, they didn't purchase. At that moment is my real opportunity. I call this like inbound, outbound. So it's the high intent moment. We literally call them up and just say, hey, this is Eliav. So I'm gonna show you here. So there's Tony here, right? I'm hoping maybe that's his actual cell phone, or it's probably his Midwest Balloon Rides number. You can see the info I have on him, right? I can see his face. I can see what he's buying. I can see what date he's looking at May 5th. So when I call, I just say, hey, is this Tony? Awesome, this is Eliav, Chief Pilot of Seattle Ballooning. I was just giving you a real quick call because I saw you were looking at booking a flight in early May and wanted to see if there was a question I could answer for you. Now, some people you're probably thinking, is that weird, right? Do customers think like, oh my God, that's weird. They like know I'm booking. Hey, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But every single time when we call, they just go, wow, that's extraordinary customer service. Wow, yeah, I actually did have a question. I'm really glad you called me, right? What's fascinating about this one back here, these guys wouldn't even call till a day later. And we ended up booking 2,700 in 8 minutes. I booked 2,700 that we wouldn't have booked. So last year we booked somewhere between 100 and 150,000 additional revenue just off of calling abandoned carts. There's no platform that allows you to do this right now outside of TripWorks, which is why I like TripWorks. Again, if you run your own platform, you want to build that into drafts, you should probably do it. The other guys, Fair Harbor can't do it because they don't collect it, and Peak won't give us access. I asked because I'm always open. If whoever's the best technology, that's where I go. TripWorks just happens to be the best right now and willing to build the stuff that we need. If you want to just put in the questions real quick, is this helpful so far for folks? I just want to make sure that I'm gauging stuff, or if there's questions you guys have so far. But this is really cool. The other thing I want to show is abandoned cart email conversions. All the platforms have abandoned cart email conversions. They just send an email saying like, hey, does your Wi-Fi suck? Right? And then they basically go, hey, here's a discount of 10%. We only got 10,000 over the whole year of abandoned emails, but we crushed it in calling people. Okay, next. Where my mouse went. Okay. So let's talk about pricing, because this is interesting. So first of all, if you haven't increased your pricing this year, you need to either way. Gas prices have gone up. They're eating up your margins. Wages have gone up. We're paying people more. I'm sure you are too. We just have to, right? And there's inflation. What's really fascinating is that I see a lot of hot air balloon companies who still have prices from like the 1990s, right? Balloon rides are a special experience. You put a lot of money into your equipment, you put a lot into marketing, you put a lot into buying good champagne, right? Having good staff training. You deserve to have prices that have gone up. There's no reason anyone should be under $300 per person anywhere in the United States. And we're going to talk through why, if you increase your prices, how it actually helps with conversion. So here's our price increase. We've increased prices every year since 2016. A guy named a local balloonist, he had said to who used to own a company out where I fly, he said, Eliav, you better not come in as the low guy. Because he said the discount one, it just discounts the service, right? And you don't want that. You want to, if you're the higher, the better. And I always remember a story someone told me that there's better, faster, and what is it? Fast, good, and fast, good quality, something like that. But basically, you can't be fast and also have good quality and the cheapest prices, right? You get two of the three, you don't get all of them, right? So you want to make sure that that's why I always say you should sell stuff for more, because there's some reasons behind to walk through this. But if you're wondering, we didn't just increase this year. During the pandemic, we increased. Then we increased another 30% in 2021. And this year, we just increased by another 25%. So how are we able to do this? Well, first of all, customers equate a higher price with value and safety, right? Think about like Spirit Airlines versus Delta. When you think about Spirit, we all go, man, they're cheap flights, but they suck, right? And it's terrible customer service. And they're going to charge you for every little tiny thing, right? When you think about Delta, which right now is like the top airline in the United States, it's more expensive, but are they on time? Yes. Is it a good service? Yes, right? So you're always thinking is, can you create a higher quality? When something is like, you think about like parachuting or, skydiving or ballooning, you don't want to go with the cheapest, right? The guy who's discounting his skydiving rides or balloon rides, because the psychological thought is, well, they probably don't have as good equipment. Now, is that true? Absolutely not. Everyone has good equipment in the ballooning community for the most part, right? Some people stretch out a little longer than others, but everyone has good equipment that's FAA, followed up by FAA checks, right? You've gotten all those things pieced, but customers view it as, if it's cheaper, it must not be as good. The second thing is your price should reflect a profit margin based on today's cost, not the 1990s. Okay, so we have a very, very high profit margin, but we also buy $60 bottles of champagne because we believe that having good champagne after a flight is important to create an extraordinary experience. Okay, so price and conversion rates. Let's talk about this. This is an important one. Price has very little impact on conversion. This is both as you raise your prices. A way to test this out, take your weekend flights, which we all you're already booked out for, right? Your weekdays might not be as much, but we all know halfway through the summer, you're at least 3 weeks booked out for weekend flights, right? I don't care who you are, you're booked out, right? For the weekends, just increase your prices by 30% for the weekends and see what happens. What you'll find is you're still booked and you're making 30% more money, right? When you also think about using a third party versus your own system, there's no additional fees, right? And there are fees because of the third parties that we use, right? Whether it's Fair Harbor or Peak or whatever tracks are some random one or TripWorks, they add a little fee, which is that convenience fee, right? Which is how they make money. I was really worried about that when I was looking at companies. I used to actually take half of the money that I would eat because I was so worried about like, oh no, it's going to impact conversion. I did a bunch of testing. It's actually at 12% when it starts to impact conversions. So it really makes no difference that 5-6% added on. The nice thing is when I was working with TripWorks, I was like, hey, I hate this booking fee thing that it says that. Ours now says aircraft fees and taxes, right? An aircraft fee, yep, our aircraft fees are our booking fees, right? We move that into that. It does help a little bit with conversion, right? Because I still felt like, hey, does it hurt a little bit? That mitigates the whole thing. TripWorks is the only one that's been allowed to let me change it. And that's what I've really appreciated with that. Again, our idea, we came up with the whole thing about being able to call people and getting texts. They built that for us, and that's what helped us. And then same thing for the rescheduling. That was my entire goal last year. I was like, guys, you have to do this. Is a huge time suck for us. Okay, the second thing is you have to offer an extraordinary customer service, right? You just have to. You have to provide a website that communicates the experience, right? Great photos. We did a huge website lift this year. Feel free to check out seattleballooning.com. It's a beautiful website. We spent lots of money to be able to create that in a new way. And then last, you have to have a ton of great reviews. If you have, back in the day, I worked at a company called ZocDoc where we were selling online scheduling for doctors, right? And two things impacted conversion of who someone would pick. A was the photos, right? They needed good photos and see that person was smiling. But if it was a female doctor as a primary care, they couldn't be overly hot and smiling because that naturally mitigated someone from booking. Because as a dude, you don't want to go to a super hot female doctor, right? And so some of those we had to make the more serious photos so people would book with them. But the biggest booking was actually the reviews. So anyone who had a 5-star review jammed. Once you had a 4.8 or below, it cut the amount of bookings in half. And at a 4.6, you literally should not be on the platform because no one would book with you. Reviews are really important. For those, we could spend a whole hour talking about review strategy. You probably should reach out to some of those review companies. Happy to do another webinar at some point for the Balloon Key if you want to chat around like reviews and how we do those. But both getting our reviews and then when you have an issue, which we all do, right, from time to time, unless you're like, I don't know, someone who's somehow amazing that nothing could ever go wrong. When they do, it's how you handle that. When you have a report review, what do? Do you reach out to that person? Do you make that better? Do you refund them? Do you how are you going to make that better? I'm going to give one example and then we're going to be almost done here, going through the last couple of things to go through questions. I had a guy last year at 7 a.m. or 6:30 in the morning after we canceled for a thunderstorm being in the area that came in, put a 1-star review on Google. And they said, we had planned this. It was our honeymoon. We were so excited. 1-star review, they canceled last minute. And I was like, holy cow, that's ridiculous, right? So I called them up and I just said, hey, this is Eliav, chief pilot of Seattle Balloon. I'm the owner. I really am so sorry that there was a thunderstorm that came in this morning, but our number one concern is to make sure you're safe and our staff is safe. I saw the review part of one of the things is on our flights, we serve champagne. I was just curious. I know I can't make it up to you with getting you on another balloon ride while you're still here, but would you be okay if I sent you a bottle of champagne to your hotel room? And the guy was like, I guess. Yeah. So I went online, got on Drizzly, sent him spent $40, and just said, hey, I just want to explain to you about reviews. These are really important to us. They really do. And a review like this is out of our control, and us keeping you safe, it really actually does, it really hurts us. And I was just curious, would you be open to having your wife, remove the review when you get a chance? And he goes, oh yeah, we'll definitely do it. Within 20 minutes, it was gone. They got their bottle of champagne and they were stoked. It cost me $40 to make sure I didn't have other people in the future. You can extrapolate that and figure out some of your poor reviews or some of the stuff that has happened. That's how you deal with it. That's one way. Okay, let's talk about tips. Okay, everyone likes tips, right? I call this the song and dance. We all do it at different times. We used to do it in the van on the ride back, right? When we get back, I'd go, hey, thanks so much for coming out. It was really wonderful. Best thing you do is leave a review. That makes a difference for me. The boys like tips, right? Well, with that, maybe you get some cash, right? Now, we always put it on our emails. You should add this too, onto your emails that are your reminders. Let them know that they can tip, right? Hey, if you want to tip, you can always bring cash. You can add it onto your card at the end. That's a great way to let them know, because that'll automatically increase tips. Well, in the tip conversation, that's great. Well, let me show you how we do it now, because we went from $150 to $200 in tips per flight, and it's going to be doubled because of this. This is now on our iPhones and on our iPads. I told TripWorks this year, I was like, guys, I need to find a way to connect it directly for tips. And I want it to look like when I go to a freaking Starbucks, I want to literally like be able to do 15, 20, 25%. Well, they built it out for us. So now we just click into it. I go, hey, I just want, whatever tip conversation you want to do at the end. Ours is just like, hey, we're going to send you some photos, from the crew of you in the balloon. Which number should I, we'll go and go through which number we should send that to. And then also you have an opportunity, if you want to leave a tip for the crew, you'll be able to do that then too. We go around to each person with a phone. Is this a phone number? Great. We just hand it to them. I promise you will double your tips. You can see on a normal flight of ours, 15% is $121, 25% is $202. And if they just want to do other, here's someone to lift $36. They can just do $36 and put their own. Super cool, right? Okay, so last thing, and then we're going to go into questions. We went through some cool stuff today. I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, wow, that's really cool. That'd be nice, but shit, my season is just starting. Like, it is annoying to switch stuff. It's always annoying to switch no matter what, whether it's before the summer in your off season or in the middle of a season if you're year round. There's never a good time, right? It always will suck moving to another platform. Do the platforms all help in doing stuff? Yes, they'll help onboard, bring your other customers over, all that stuff. The question I looked at is always like, if I could make an extra 100, 150K in revenue, should I do it now, right? And is the automation of time savings, of automated rescheduling, that kind of stuff worth it? If it is, you should probably talk to Tim and figure out a way so that you guys can learn more about TripWorks. If those things are interested that are on here, you're more than welcome. He's going to put his link in here right before we go to questions in the chat. He'll put the link where you can automatically book a calendar if you want to, and you can learn more about TripWorks. And if you have other questions about it, the way we use it, I'm always happy to chat and answer questions for you. Okay, we're going to open it up to questions now. If you want to put it in the questions, what questions you have, and everything is open to have conversations about. And if you want to go and put them in there, let's rock and roll. Okay. So let's start taking a look at some questions here. It won't let me add to the full chat conversation. Okay, we'll go ahead and there you go. She just put that demo one. Okay, so what kind of questions do you guys have? You can go put it in the questions here. It looks like you guys are excited about some of the stuff I was putting. Are there any questions anyone has? This is literally about the automation, any of the stuff that I talked about in general today. No questions. Wow. Apparently awesome. I don't know if you can see my screen here. Here's me and Richard Branson playing chess. It's kind of fun. Let's see. Okay, how many clicks to reschedule? Okay, it's one click. They click into it, it automatically pulls up their profile, Mike, and then it just shows the calendar. It only will let them book in the exact same thing that they exact same type of tour, right? So if it's sunrise shared, it'll only let them do sunrise shared. If it's a private, only lets them see the private ones, but they couldn't switch from like a sunrise to a sunset doing it. Make sense? Is TripWorks managing your website and social scheduling? No. TripWorks does not manage our website or our social scheduling. They only do booking. If you're interested in website stuff, my website guy is a baller. He is amazing. He's fairly expensive, but he is fantastic. And I'll go ahead and put the, let me pull up the, his stuff here real quick. Give me 1 second here. I'll put it in there for you. Yeah.
Just to pipe in real quick, we do have the ability to host website for you, but we do just have a few basic templates.
Yeah, I would say you should never let anybody else do your website stuff, especially booking platforms, because if they move to a different one, you're screwed. So I'll just be upfront there. No one should do that. I think it's a great service, but people really need your own website so you can control them. I'm going to put the in here. It's called falcon.design. He's amazing. I've loved working with him. I'll put it in the chat here. He's fantastic. And he helped us with our design and our full uplift, and just we gave him a lot of stuff. I know there's a couple other guys on here who I've sent over them as well, which is great. So let's pull up some more questions here. Let's go to Bob here. How fast do you load our current bookings? Tim, that's going to be you.
Yeah, so typically, yeah, if you choose to move forward with TripWorks, we can migrate everything that you have over currently. And depending on how fast you want to move, we can do that in anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
And if you're in season, like I'm sure you can push them. Like just know like that's part of it. If you're in season or just about to start and you need to do something quickly, like these guys have been great. But again, this is all of them, right? Like this is not TripWorks is great, right? That's not a unique thing necessarily. All the companies move stuff over and do onboarding stuff. But my experience with TripWorks is they did do a great job with mine. As far as what platforms you use for reviews, mainly, there's a couple different ones. I push a lot of people to Google, Petra, for that reason, is that people search on Google, right? Now Google also pulls in Yelp reviews, they pull in TripAdvisor, all into your Google profile, which is the unit that kind of shows up on the side of the site. When they're looking up your company, really valuable on there, on those. I use a platform called, I can't remember the name of the platform I use, but on my website, it basically aggregates all the reviews into one unit. And it's really cool just so people can see all of them so they don't jump around. But I wouldn't be using like automated only to one place for reviews, right? You want to give them options of which ones they should do. And I put a lot of people towards Google personally. Does this scale down to smaller operators? Roger, yeah, so all of this scales down to, I started as a small operator, and I still consider myself a small operator, right? Compared to like your Rainbow Riders of the world, some of the Napa guys, these guys that do, 5, 10, 15, $20 million a year in revenue. But all this stuff scales down. I think as a small operator, your time suck is you're talking to everyone personally, right? You should put live chat on your site, right? That is a no-brainer, and you need online scheduling because it's just a waste of time for you to try and organize that. And automating stuff, the more you can automate, the less stuff you have to do as an individual. So I'd say it's more valuable for smaller operators because they're not hiring staff, right? You're not hiring like a secretary to do stuff. I only last year hired someone to literally take calls. But it was just because I wasn't getting very many, and then they started getting more like, sure, why not? How compatible is this with my Christy? I'm not sure what it's compatible with that you're asking there, but if you want to put it in again. So your aircraft fees and percentage, you have no pushback on that. No, Tony, there's really no pushback. The good news is let's say there is a little pushback, right? In the draft, when they fill it out, right? They fill out a draft, then you go and then you have a draft. When you call them, can you get rid of those fees? Yeah. That's not TripWorks, that's not Fair Harbor, that's not anyone doing it. So how all the sites work, right? Whether you're Fair Harbor or TripWorks or Peak or some other random company, if you are booking it yourself, there is no fee there. And that's the way all the platforms work. So in that case, if my booking company failed it, right, on e-com, that is now my work that I'm doing to book them. In that case, now that's my deal where I go and drop the fee. I say, hey, I can go and drop fees and taxes for you, aircraft fees and taxes. It drops that for a $3,000 ride. That drops at $300. They feel like you're just giving me a discount, right? Now there's other times where they'll go, hey, I got an email about that 10% off. I give them the 10% off and I drop the fees and taxes, because when you're booking it yourself, those things aren't included in any platform. It doesn't matter what platform you're with, they don't do it based on if you are booking it yourself. And that's maybe specifically for ballooning. They've done that with TripWorks, but that was part of the reason of why is that they had to match what the other companies were doing. 8%, it is not 8%. I believe we have a match for ballooning companies. So whatever ours are, they're going to be honoring our same exact fee structure that we have, which I believe is going to be 6, I think is where it's at. I'll double check it for you, Tony. But
hey, Eliav, I wanted to jump in here on a few things. So the question Christy had was about how TripWorks integrates with the website. So I wanted to give Tim an opportunity to answer that question.
Oh, yeah, we integrate directly in with your website. If you have an existing website, we would just essentially come in and be able to throw our buttons in and match kind of the style of your website. It would have a pop-up that would come out. If you look at Eliav's website, you'll kind of see how it would look and how it's structured. But yeah, there's no issue integrating with an existing website whatsoever.
Yeah, so basically all that it is, Christy, is on and how all the platforms work. You have a button on your site. When you click that button, it shows up in a light box, right, that shows you different tours. Or you're going to have or it can go to a different page, but it's all of them are integrated in that way for online booking. So that's the way that works. It's a real simple thing, whether you're on WordPress, they'll help it in. All of the companies will help you integrate that stuff into your site. Mike, you had asked, do you spend my money on paid social ads? This is not anything around ads on this. There's no ads here. These guys aren't an ad company. If you have questions about ads, Mike, you can reach out to me separately. Happy to give you some thoughts around that. But no, we do all our own ads. I do have a great ad guy if someone wants to, if needs someone who's really, really great, I'm happy to connect you. But for the most part, we do our own ads. To give you an example, our ads that we do ourselves, we have somewhere between a variety of platforms, we have over a 20% click-through rate. And I've never found any other ad company to be able to do it better than us ourselves, which is why we do it ourselves. I have a background in it, so if you don't, I would find someone who's good at doing both local ads for Google and Facebook, and I'm happy to share some CTR numbers and click-through rates, what you should be getting. Or if you want to send me others, I'm happy to tell you, like, hey, these are the ones that work. Hey, that doesn't make sense, or the questions to ask them. But no, they don't do any of this. All they're doing is booking stuff. This is a real thought leadership around a lot of stuff with ballooning. So pricing for TripWorks, it's just like all of them. They just add a little booking fee onto it. So you're not paying them outside of just, they win when you win. I look at this as I win for automation, which they're willing to do the stuff that has helped us make more money to automate stuff and save time. And that's why I'm with TripWorks. That's really it, right? Like, you have to understand most of these companies are pretty similar in what they do as an offering. There's little things around customer service, and I think everyone likes to think that they're the best at customer service. The truth is, there's really 3 things that I found with TripWorks that the other guys don't do right now, and I ask them to do. And I've told them, like, if you're willing to do all these things, whoever does it, I will go to you, right? And TripWorks says, nope, we're gonna do that and keep you. And I said, great. Rescheduling automated, tips. That's what I asked for this year, and they said, yep, done, Eliav, and they built it.
Right.
Again,
And Eliav, this is Janice. I just wanted to chime in here too. Yes, so we do add a percentage fee onto the cost of sales that are processed through our platform, but you have full access to the entire suite of the TripWorks platform. And that platform is so sophisticated as compared to other competitors in the field currently. And so we don't make you tier step up to hit to our features. Everything's available to everybody from day one. It's a completely scalable platform, so we grow with you based on where you are currently in your company's life cycle.
As far as does it work in Europe and Germany, I'd assume?
Yes, yeah, we operate in internationally as well. So if that's something you need, I'd love to talk to you about that. We can accept different currencies as well, depending on the main currencies you guys accept on your website. So love to chat about that.
Yeah. As far as a small operator, Chris, you said I need to constantly update available date times, coordinate day jobs. Yeah, so basically you're just putting in this schedule of when you want it. So just like if you think about like a Google Calendar, right? And you're like, hey, I have availability here. Basically systems look at other systems and go, when's available? You just put like, these are the dates that I have. I'm only doing Saturdays and Sundays. You just pick which dates you want those, and you can always open or close them. You know, but it's around your own scheduled booking. It's just saying I have available on Saturday morning for 3 hours, right? And we're launching at 6 a.m. That's when they would be available to book them for how many people. So it doesn't really matter whether you're small or big. I mean, all of them are available around it. AI bot, how much time does that save you, Tony? I've had 19,355 conversations in the last 3 years on our chatbot. That's awesome. So a crap ton of time. So, I mean, I'm also having to be an AI chatbot expert in how we get those to interact with people and how we do it. But at one point I removed my phone number from the site because I was like, I just want people to book online and go through our chatbot, and it pretty much still worked. And then finally one of my e-com guys was like, Eliav, put your damn phone number back on. I was like, fine. But my phone number actually tells people to go back to the site to chat with us online, because the bot does better than I'd answer the question anyway. Here's the time saving, right? Think about this. Tell me you didn't have a conversation this week with someone for 20 minutes who's like, let me tell you my life story about why I want to go ballooning. And some like older lady, and you're like, for the love of God, this person better book after 20 minutes. And at the end of 20 minutes, they go, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do it like Seattle or Arizona. Or maybe I'll think it, and you're like, ah. Now this is the other interesting thing. With rescheduling, think about how many times you're like talking to someone for a damn reschedule and you miss 2 phone calls. Those are people you should be booking, and instead you're like dealing with some dude who's like, well, I don't know, when's gonna work best for you? That is a waste of time, you know? So when I look at like time savings, these are all around like automation and time saving. Paul, you said does TripWorks also out of the credit card? Yeah, so it also does all the credit card processing through Stripe. Same thing, so it's all these platforms are full service. So it does credit card processing and then automatically goes back into your account, and it's just an integrated Stripe account. Kelly, you were laughing. Okay, and probably my comment there about like time saving and random people who are spending time on the phone. Any other questions? We just have a few minutes left. Josh said, does your bot work with social media platforms? Ours doesn't. I use Drift, which is one of the top platforms in the world that none of you guys would ever use, because now it's $2,500 a month. I just got in when it was $250 a month. I got lucky. But there are a lot of bot platforms you can use. They do work across different social media as well. But for right now, I would just at least get live. If you're going to do one thing today, get live chat on your site. Like go to Drift, get free Drift that allows you to live chat on your site, goes right to your phone. There's a couple other balloon pilots that have done that, and it's been very, very successful for them. But there are some that do cross-site with Messenger. But then again, you don't want someone having to like log into Messenger just to have a chat conversation, which is why I don't like some of the cross-platform ones. Any other questions anyone has before we kind of close it out here? Please share third-party services you'd mentioned. Yeah, I'll put that into but I use Homebase for scheduling, and I use, and then for chat, you can use Drift, drift.com. Their free one is all you need for live chat. If you're gonna build bots out, it's too expensive for any operator at this point to use Drift, but you can check out Intercom as another one. Intercom.com is another one for live chat. And then there's a bunch of just like other ones. You just look at, bot companies. You can find a bunch of different ones. Some are going to be more enterprise and some are for more smaller companies. So they're going to be all kinds of different pricing. There's another one in Europe that's awesome too. Let me see here. Let's see, 700 to 1,000 users is a ton of traffic. What drives most of that? So we got to basically #1 in SEO for almost every keyword. A lot of that for our majority keywords. We also do a lot of blog posting and content stuff. We do a lot of partnerships, but in general, content is king, right? And getting backlinks. So part of the thing that is always valuable is backlinks from news organizations. Anytime you can get a news article that has a link in it, it helps power your site, right? It gives juice to the site. We were in the New York Times on the front page last year, helped us a ton. We're about to be on Reuters video. We're doing stuff with Nickelodeon coming up here, with Nick News is doing a thing. A lot of that's about our program where we're helping young people get into ballooning because it's important for us. So, we're helping women and young people and people of color get into ballooning. And I've got a 17-year-old African-American girl who's gonna be the first female African-American girl to get her balloon license in the United States, and will be the only current Black pilot in the United States that's active. And so, we're doing a lot of media around that. So I'd say if there's something you can do to make a difference, right? Media as a whole, PR is a whole nother webinar. We could spend 3 hours on, right, of how you do that. But find interesting articles. I'd pitch people locally all the time, your local papers, local places. And then the other thing is you want to make sure to be part of all your visitor bureaus, all that kind of stuff. All those backlinks help, right? But ultimately it comes down, is the content on your site valuable and are people spending time? But I've grown over 300% in traffic almost every year for the last 3 years. We've really focused on it pretty hard. Can you email us your recommendations? Yeah, Christy, I can put together an email and I'll grab the whole email list from TripWorks as well. And I'll email everyone kind of those recommendations of those few for ones that we use too that you're welcome to check out. Josh, if you have other questions, feel free to give me a call. You can just call us at on the Seattle Ballooning number. I'll give you my cell here. I'll put into here. This is my cell. Just text me guys first if you want to chat, and I'll send you a link where you can book a time with me if you want to chat more about some of the stuff I'm happy to share. And I think that's it. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. If you guys do have other questions, or you have other people, of other balloon operators, you're like, hey, this stuff was valuable, like they want to get a copy of it, I'm sure you can hit up Tim and he can kind of get you the copy of the video that he can send out to other folks. And I wish you guys all the best this summer. Lots of safe flying, and let's all go have some fun and take a ton of passengers flying. And Bob, I'm excited that you were on here too, because as local operators all together, right, as we all grow together, it makes the whole industry more viewable. And I think that we can all learn from each other. And I think that we need to do more of this, of different sharing in the community in general. So thank you guys.
Before you guys all sign off,
one last thing. Yeah.
Before you all sign off, I just want to say thank you on behalf of TripWorks for joining us today. We are going to follow up with you, and so we'll have an email of this video to send to you and some of the resources that Eliav provided. It'll also include links to our website and to a scheduling platform with Tim if you're interested. We would love to chat with you. And so do hope that this was helpful. And if so, we will plan to do it again. And Eliav, thank you so much. This has been not only educational for us, but we just appreciate you and your education. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Anyway, have a wonderful one, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care, everyone. Eliav, I'm staying on so I can get these questions down.
Oh, okay. Did you already stop the webinar or not yet?
No.
Okay.
I can't because it will delete everything.
Okay, cool. I'll follow up with you after. Cheers.
Okay, thank you so much.